happy Veterans Day. I'm not a happy Veterans Day guy. I don't do that. So I am TC, and for those of you who don't know me, I am the host, founder, and originator of the Minnesota Black Robe Regiment podcast, MBRR Pod. Soon to have a little rebranding, by the way. I know I keep telling you guys that, but it's not as easy as you think to come up with something that needs to be came up with that's still going to work and represent who I am. So we're not changing anything as far as the content or even the totality of the name, guys, but we are making some branding changes. So yeah, it's November 11th, 2024, and this is a little bit of a strange drive time dialectic for you guys. I'm on my lunch break, and you know what I really had planned to do? I had planned to take my lunch break and go down to the Veterans Memorial here in Rochester, Minnesota, and I work in the city of Rochester, even though I don't live here. And I had really had thought about going to the Veterans Memorial and doing a spiel down there outside, and it's windy and it's not all that cold. It's 47. It's a beautiful day. It's bright and sunny, but it's windy, and it's hard to talk over the wind. And then I knew there'd be veterans down there, and there'd be services and stuff going on, and I just said, I'm just going to talk to you guys because you're my safe space. Even my hate watchers and the FBI observers and the BCA observers, you guys are my safe space. I can say what's on my mind here, and that's why I opened up with, I'm not going to say Happy Veterans Day, because I don't think there's anything happy about Veterans Day, frankly. I don't feel it. I don't feel the joy. Frankly, the pride that I once held deep in my heart for having served. Especially, there's a little bit of that elitist pride. I was 82nd Airborne, but that's that little of that's still there, but there's not a lot of pride left for me in having served in the military of the United States. And that's not to take away from the people that served. One, there are many of you, AVA especially, who really did put his life on the line. Skipper was deployed. Angry vet. I don't know everything that he did. The guy's still in a fight for our republic now. But I'm feeling pretty thoughtful and emotional today, so I guess what I'm a nobody. I'm a nothing. I always have been. It's the nature of my life. I was from a nobody family. My family used to my dad's side of the family, everybody served in the military except for him, and he tried to serve in the military during Vietnam, and because he was missing the trigger finger on his right hand, they excluded him from service. So I think they call it 4Fing. I think they 4F'd him right out of the ability to even be drafted So who knows? But my grandpa, my dad's dad served during World War II. My I have my dad's two youngest brothers both served. One in the Navy, one in the Army. But I don't come from this long line of achievers. I don't come from a long line of big muckety mucks in the community, and even my military service was lackluster. I mean, I joined because I needed money for college, and I didn't know what else to do. I had scholarships for running, but I didn't know how to, study. I sucked at math, and everything else came pretty easy to me. Rhetoric, philosophy, humanities, biological sciences, philosophy, literature, English, all of that stuff. All history, all of that stuff came really easy to good old TC, and I didn't have to put a lot of effort into it, and didn't have to put a lot of effort into learning languages, and so I just kind of I got through high school without having to put too much work into things, and had a scholarship for indoor, outdoor track and cross country to the first college that I went to. But I didn't know how to study, so I transferred from the first college I was at, which was a private school, to the University of Montana. Did a semester there, and I just gave up. I'm like, if I'm going to go to college, I need to get some money, and so I joined the Army. And I joined during the first Gulf War. A lot of you have heard this story before. I was halfway through basic training when the drill sergeants, Drill Sergeant Harvey and Drill Sergeant Huntley, and if you've ever been in the military, 98% of you will attest to the fact that you remember your drill sergeants pretty much for your entire life. You remember their faces, you remember their voices, you remember their personalities, and you develop an admiration for them, military-wise, that is reserved for very, very few people. And they made me a soldier. They did make me a soldier, for better or for worse. Instead of saying platitudes of happy day, maybe thanks for your sacrifice or service, just a thought. Yeah, I think ST, that's an excellent way of looking at it, and I appreciate that you thought through that. Well, I'm driving through Hy-Vee, and I'm wanting to show you guys something, because it's really poignant, but I don't know if they still have them. Like, I wonder if they got rid of them. They may have gotten rid of them, because they were one of the first places in town that did it. Oh, there they are. I gotta show this to you guys. I'm not parking here, but I'm gonna park in the spot for a second to show you. So I want to show you this, like I said. So, superhero parking only. Veterans, active duty, EMTs, police force, firefighters. Years ago, when those first came out here in Rochester, the first time I ever saw them, I used to park there, because I kind of felt like, hey, I fit a couple of those categories. You know, I'm a veteran. I serve in the law enforcement community. I wasn't a real cop. I was just a deputy in a detention center. But I'm going to show you guys something else too. It's these license plates. Can you see that? Can you see that? So Um, I I stopped parking in them though because I felt like um, most vets that I've come to know and really respect and admire over the last couple of years, especially last few years, especially, we've kind of had it with the thank you for your service. You're a hero. Thank you for serving your country. Because a lot of us came to the realization pretty quick after we joined that everything that we joined for, and I did join to serve my country. When I took that oath, and you guys know how serious the oath is to me. When I took that oath to keep and defend the Constitution of the United States, to defend the Republic from enemies, foreign and domestic, it really, really meant something to me. It was a powerful thing to me because I understood the history of the U.S. Not that any of you don't, but even then, I understood the history of the United States. Maybe not to the depth that I understand it now, but I really did want to keep and defend the Republic, and I felt that military service, even at a time of relative peace, which is farcical when you think about it, because since the end of World War II, the United States has not met a single year of peace. I just let that sink in. The United States has been in a continuous state of war since the end of World War II. 82 years we have been at war with somebody. All of those wars undeclared. Because Congress has failed to do its job, and presidents, being what they are since Lincoln, have seized the imperial power that Lincoln established to themselves, and have decided that they have the ability to unilaterally declare that they need to send troops places, and all for the good of the world, all because we can't allow them to, people in other countries, nations, regions, we can't allow them to have self-determination. That only belongs to the United States. That only belongs to the people that live in the U.S. And that only belongs to the people that live in the U.S. that believe in self-determination as long as it fits an agenda. So we have to go out and infringe and impose ourselves as the world police onto other nations and force them to drop their self-determination in favor of American determination, because we know what's best for everybody else. And that's what the last 82 plus years has been about. And so we have literally slaughtered not just people in other countries, but we have literally slaughtered thousands and thousands and thousands of our own men and women for false causes, for lies. How many people did we lose in Afghanistan over a lie? How many people did we lose in Iraq over lies? How many people have we lost since Vietnam? How many people did we lose in Korea? How many people did we lose in all these other marginally serious conflicts, Grenada and Panama, and on and on and on and on and on? How many? How many thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of lives have we lost all over the world? Not in defense of ourselves, not in defense of our homeland, not in defense of the American way of life, but in offensive actions meant to perpetuate the war state. And I know, oh my gosh, you don't sound like a patriot, TC. You sound like a leftist. You sound like a commie. Like, no, folks. This is the what I'm espousing is the purity of paleo-libertarian, paleo-conservatism. I am a purist. Our founding fathers, the men who Abraham Lincoln so eloquently said, who brought forth upon this continent our forefathers did not establish this republic to turn around and make it an empire. They despised imperialism. They wanted nothing to do. I must be saying too much truth because I just lost all my viewers. You're all gone. I had 20 or something there for a minute. Good. Oops. I'm tired of seeing mothers cry. I'm tired of seeing wives and children left devastated over the death of a loved one who thought they were doing something that was to be for the good of the republic. I'm tired of seeing little kids grow up without their dads because they're either seeing their lives ended in a foreign country or coming back so heavily damaged physically and emotionally and psychologically that in the end the only way for them to cope is to end the pain in the only way that they can think of, in the only way that they've come to be comfortable with. And it's something that should devastate all of us. It's something that should hurt us all emotionally and psychologically, to think that we've allowed our overlords, our regimist masters, to convince us to send our boys and girls off to places in the Middle East and Asia and Europe to destroy other families, to destroy their children, to destroy their boys and their girls in the name of American patriotism. And so we make these sacrifices, these willing really, we're duped. And when they can't dupe our boys and girls with promises of college and benefits, which most of us are well aware, the VA's enough to make everybody weep. When they can't dupe our young men and women into signing up, then they force it. And there's a segment of our population out there today, the people that consider themselves the vote red until you're dead. Military is a place of honor. Those types believe that the answer to fixing everything that ails our country socially and morally, and that would repair the torn fabric, moral fabric of our country, would be to force everybody to do at least 2 years in the military. And when you point out to them that that's the exact Marxist, communist, fascist mentality that we supposedly have been fighting since World War II, they get mad at you and say it's different. It's the United States. The people owe it to the country to do that. The people owe it to the republic to do that and to live these lives that we think they should live. And if they can't, we should put them in training camps where they are being taught how to kill and be killed. You see, it's painfully obvious that this country is not worth sacrificing for anymore. I'm not saying it could never be that type of country again. I'm not saying that it could never be restored to the grandeur that our forefathers dreamt it would be. But we have fallen so far. We have done so much damage around the world that we need to go a minimum of a good 50, 60, 70, 80 years of penance. Where we don't sell a single bomb or a single round of ammunition. That we don't deploy a single carrier group or a fighter wing or a bomber wing where we go without sending a single troop anywhere. And I use the term troop to just, describe all of our military personnel. That we don't go a single place in the world outside of the borders of the 50 states. And if our military is needed somewhere in the world for a humanitarian mission, that they go without weapons. I remember Hurricane Katrina, probably as well as any of you do. I remember sitting there watching as New Orleans and Slidell and other places along the Gulf Coast were overwhelmed and inundated with devastating floods and tornadoes, windstorms. And I remember watching video after video after video of people clinging to what was left of their homes, guarding those homes with their lives. Literally guarding those homes with their lives. And then others in other parts, begging to be rescued because they couldn't get away in time. And their National Guard troops couldn't be deployed to help them because their National Guard troops were deployed in Iraq, in Afghanistan, and staged at other places all around the globe. Nearly 1,000 United States military outposts around the world. Staffed by and large by a massive percentage of National Guard troops. People who couldn't be at home during Katrina. So the president ordered the 82nd Airborne to be deployed to the streets of New Orleans. American active duty military forces patrolling the streets of an American city with orders to disarm Americans. Americans who were defending their property from looters. Does that make any sense to you? That our war machine was so busy sending our National Guard troops off to kill people in Iraq and Afghanistan, that active duty military personnel were sent to disarm Americans. I remember what that did to my heart, seeing them walk the streets like that. And we have continued to do it. And I think it's high time that Americans demand an end to American interventionism in the world. What happens in the rest of the world is none of our business. It's not. It's not. Self-determination isn't just us. It's not It's not just Americans determining for themselves how they live. It's for people in far away, distant, dark corners of the world who maybe don't know what they want to just come to that conclusion on their own. And it's not our job to save them. I know it sounds terrible because it's been beat into our heads that it's our job to spread democracy at the point of a gun. It's our job to spread the democratic vision of the United States across the globe through carpet bombing and shock and awe. Every life lost is worth the sacrifice if we can introduce democracy to little brown people around the world. But what 82 years of American interventionism has taught us is that we have earned hatred from the world. George Bush and others, after September 11th of 2001, told everybody they don't hate us because of what we've done. They hate us because of our freedom. They don't hate our freedom. They hate what we're doing to them. And one of the most recent examples of that is the way that the United States has intervened in Libya and Ukraine. We intentionally destroyed Muammar Gaddafi, who, by the way, was not a radical Islamist. Muammar was a secularist who had established relative peace and security in his country, relative. Oh no, Jugs, I wasn't talking about you. I agree. We should expect threats, and our troops are better at home defending us from those threats than they are out changing the face of governance in other countries. Yeah, they didn't like Muammar Gaddafi, and so they had to unseat him. And so they weakened his support in his own country, and now slave markets are open in Libya again. And it has become not only a place of slave markets, but it has become a place of radical Islamic fundamentalism. And then we exacted regime change in Ukraine to take down the duly democratically elected leader that we didn't like. Instead of seeking out threats, prepare for threats, yes. We unseated the duly elected democratic leader of Ukraine, who was pro-Russia, and installed a pro-Western, pro-American leader, who then we made overtures towards allowing to join NATO, and Russia said no. Russia said no. And they had every right to say no. Doesn't make Putin a good guy. It doesn't mean invading another country is a good thing, but we do what we have always done, and it's push, 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 push until they won't be pushed anymore. And now we're deploying troops to the Middle East again. We're putting troops in Palestine. We're putting troops in Gaza to deliver aid, while we also deliver bombs and guns and ammunition and weapon systems to Israel that they're using to slaughter Palestinians. And so many people in the United States are okay with that. And so on Veterans Day of 2024, all I can tell you is that as many people as I know that have become vehemently anti-war, opposed to foreign intervention, there are not enough of us. And right now, people are celebrating the election of Donald Trump. And I understand why to some degree. But they're celebrating the election of Donald Trump, saying he's the peace president, while they also celebrate the fact that he's promised to bomb Iran, to take out Iranian power facilities, to prevent them from getting what they say is a bomb, because we have to remain loyal to Israel. So you'll have to forgive me if I don't celebrate Veterans Day. Because I don't really feel like there's much to celebrate in the service and the life and the death of American troops anymore. It's not to take away from my fellow veterans and who have put their lives in harm's way, like AVA and Skipper and Rebecca Whiting and TJ Hawthorne and others. Or my friend Dan McKnight from Bring Our Troops Home and Defend the Guard. I just can't celebrate war. And I think the really patriotic thing to do is kind of what Jugalassis was saying, and that's ultimately to defend for threats that come for us at home and not be looking for threats in other places around the world. So like I said, you'll have to forgive me for not saying Happy Veterans Day. It's not happy for me to think of my friend Chris Darnell from Not a Real Libertarian podcast, bootleg libertarian, some of you may know him as. That we lost this year because he couldn't keep the fight up anymore. His family deserved better. And God damn it, we do too. Every single one of us deserves better than what's been done. And this will never stop until we stand up and say, not one more of our kids. Not one more of our young men. Not one more of our young women. Not one more bomb. Not one more gun. Not one more weapon system. Not one more tank. Not one more ship. Not one more dollar goes to anybody else in the world. Not one more war. Not one more bombing. Not one more message sent, other than we will defend ourselves at home. The rest of you can fight it out. It's not our business. It needs to end. And I hope you guys will join me in that struggle. Please, if you do nothing else today, go to whatever system you use, Google, whatever. Type in Defend the Guard and look up Defend the Guard on your computer. Look up your state under Defend the Guard. Sign the petition. Find out who's organizing Defend the Guard in your state and get involved. And say enough's enough. It's time to end the wars. Because the senator's sons, they're not the ones that go. I'll talk to you guys later.